Hi, so we are here live in BIC Farms. I am your host today on the show, Rowena Inyang, and I'll be taking you on a tour on BIC Farms. Today, I have with me Mr. Femi, who is a country manager for BIC Farms. So he will be taking us through what soilless farming is all about here in BIC Farms. So for starters, he's going to tell us a journey, give us a brief on the journey of BIC Farms. Sir, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. So, BIC Farms, can you tell us how it all started? I know it's a long journey, but let us just have a piece of where this all started from.
Well, good morning once again. And the journey has been for long. BIC Farms started soilless farming in 2013, and when the MD or the way MD always motivates us, he will say he watched a CNN documentary and saying things grow on water. How can something grow on water? Okay, I want to learn more. He went for trainings, and okay, there are a lot of challenges along the line, but got so good. What we focus at BIC, you said I mentioned innovation meets tradition the other time. Okay, if we keep importing materials, this technology will be too expensive for people. How can we make use of available materials to ensure food security is achieved? Look at this, is a system. We call this a food garden or an home garden, because we tell people if everybody is to contribute to food security, you should be able to produce at least 20% of what you consume.
Of course.
Now, that your backyard, what are you doing with it? Somebody can own an home garden and grow different vegetables using locally available materials. That's traditional innovation. If you can see this, we call it trough at BIC, but this is actually a roof gutter. If you know where if you see buildings, these are the materials used for the buildings. So we made use of this material then with our proprietary mix, which is the substrate, to grow crops. These are spring onions.
Okay, so let's not run off too fast.
Yes.
Now, soilless farming, in a layman's terms, because a lot of people have heard soilless farming. We were taught in school that for you to farm, grow crops, you need the seeds and the soil to plant.
Yeah.
But here we are today talking about soilless farming. So people the public would like to know what really is soilless farming.
So let me start by saying this. Soilless farming is you growing crop without the use of soil.
Okay.
But now, if we can go back to the university a little bit, for example, let's say University of Ibadan. Under a university, which is an umbrella, we have faculties.
Of course.
We have Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Agric, Medicine, and Co. So soilless farming has faculties. Under soilless farming, we have hydroponics. We have aquaponics. You understand what I'm trying to talk about? Yeah, so soilless farming is like an umbrella. So soilless farming is you growing crops without the use of soil. Now, if you are not using soil, what else are you using? That's what is bringing us to active type of soilless farming, which is active hydroponics and passive hydroponics. Active hydroponics is when you just see your crop growing on water. And the other part, which is passive or substrate type of hydroponics, is something like this. You are growing with materials apart from soil, because there are some features of soil that are very important for plants growth.
Yes.
Number one is aeration. For oxygen to be able to move through the substrate. We have something called water holding capacity. So now, if we can get materials that can perform this same function aside from soil, that's what brought about soilless farming. Okay. You understand that?
Yes, yes, yes. So now, we know that it is very technical. It's not the usual farming method now. It is more technical, and one needs to dedicate more time and maybe resources to. Now, can you say that this is something a local farmer can venture into, and not just venture into, but succeed at it too?
So when we are talking about soilless farming, we are thinking sustainability as well. Sustainability means something you can do over and over and for a long period of time. For farmers, we do tell them you don't need to go for exotic materials. There are locally available materials that can be used, and you are still telling people this is soilless farming.
So in other words, sorry to cut you there.
Yeah.
In other words, someone can start this on a small scale.
Definitely.
You don't need to acquire a large property to start this.
Definitely for soilless farming, you can start on a small scale.
Okay.
That was why I was explaining the home garden the other time. This is a kind of system you can have as an individual. Probably at your backyard or at the corner of your house. Now we are not even talking about the greenhouse structure.
Yes.
We are still talking soilless farming. So you can start small, then scale fast and grow big.
Okay, sir. Before we go on to see other of the crops that are being grown here, let's talk about a bit about the climate condition here. How does it affect the crops here? Now, you know that we have greenhouses here and all of that. For the local farmers that don't need all of this coverage, how does the climate affect the growth here of the crops?
So when we are talking about climate change, we are talking about climate. You know, that's average weather conditions over a long period of time. Now, in soilless farming, or let me say in protected cultivation, we target two major factors that we control. Number one, temperature. Number two, relative humidity. You see, this covering we are saying, they are not just covers. They are materials that help step down the solar radiation. This is called a UV net. UV means ultraviolet treated net. So the rate of sunlight coming directly does not hit the plants directly. And we have different kinds of nets. If you look over there, those are shade nets. For crops that does not need too much light or too much sunlight, I'll still be taking us to the nursery where we need to have a minimum of 28 degrees Celsius temperature. They don't need to be exposed to a lot of temperature or a lot of solar radiation. So in soilless farming, protected cultivation, we make sure we control our temperature, relative humidity.
Let's talk a bit about what we see here. I can see obviously this is not soil. So this is not the usual soil we see. So tell us a bit about what you have here and what kind of plants is being grown here.
So what we are seeing currently, it's a proprietary mix by BIC Farms. This is what we call grow mix in BIC Farms. But we are familiar with the materials. The major ingredient here is our rice husk. That's the shaft they remove from the back of rice. Rice husk. Now, alongside rice husk, there is another component called boucher. Boucher means biological charcoal. That's just the simple definition.
So these are things you can even find in your backyard.
They are things
that we use in our homes.
Biological charcoal. You make this from burning organic materials in the absence of oxygen. So if you can remember, or we know how charcoal is being made, you cut wood and you cover with sand. Why are you covering with sand? So that oxygen don't allow oxygen and it doesn't turn to ashes. Now, what's the function of this boucher? The moment we started using rice husk, we noticed over time that if water passes through it, it begins to form cake. It forms something like this, so it doesn't loosen up easily.
So it's now like soil.
This has been used over time. Look at it, looking like soil, like decomposed material. But when boucher gets into this, your substrate is loosed forever. And boucher is very rich in phosphorus. So you don't need to be looking for phosphorus-based fertilizer anywhere. Because phosphorus helps in root development. Once your plants get proper root development, they tap nutrients. So those are the importance of boucher, which is in the proprietary mix of BIC Farms.
So you're saying that at this point, with all of this, a farmer doesn't need to go looking for fertilizer so that his crops can grow well.
So at some stage of plant growth, for example, the vegetative stage, you don't need to be looking for any materials. But once your plant starts growing or they want to fruit, for example, you are growing fruity vegetables like cucumber, tomatoes, bell pepper, you need some nutrients that helps in proper fruit development.
So please, what kind of plant is this we have here?
So what we have here currently is spring onions. So these are spring onions. You know, they are different from the normal bulb onions.
Yes.
For bulb onions, you have the bulb beneath it. But spring onions, though they form bulb later, but it will be the most parts, or the parts that people consume, is just the leaf.
Okay.
Is the leafy part. So this spring
at this
onions,
point, is this ready for consumption?
This is ready for consumption.
And how long has this? How long does it take before it's ready for consumption?
So most times we grow this through vegetative propagation, because we've noticed over time that if you plant 100 seeds, hardly will 50 germinate.
Yeah.
Now, what else can we do without growing seed? We can use the stem, or we can grow through the suckers. So if you remove these, you can see there are two suckers here. You can separate them and replant.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you have 50 of this. That means by the time you are propagating, you have 100.
100, yeah.
And in a space of 3-4 weeks, you have another 2 or 3 joined together, which can be propagated.
So it keeps
growing. These
like
are spent more than six months here, propagating, selling out of it, repropagating.
Oh, so this is up to 6 months now.
More than 6 months.
So if you wanted to get to the stage where it has the little bulb of onions there, how long would it take?
You can allow it to stay for 3-4 months. You will see the bulb coming out.
So after the stage where it is ready now for harvesting,
yes,
right? So what is the process you guys do to harvest? What's the process you go
to? The harvesting is not really stressful and it's not far-fetched. All you need to do is just to remove this. You can rinse it a little bit to remove the substrate, but don't cut off the roots.
Okay.
Because those buying this might not sell everything that same day. Once you cut off the roots, these begin to drool or to die. So you leave it with the roots. Sometimes those buying do dip the roots inside water, just to make sure this is still
alive. So after the harvesting period, is this still reusable?
So the benefit of soilless farming is this: you can use your substrate over and over.
So at what point is this not to be used? Like, I mean, you say you can use over and over and over. So at what stage do you discard this and use something else?
So what if I tell you in soilless farming we don't waste anything? We are trying to turn waste to wealth.
Yeah.
This, if you are getting tired of this, or this is giving you issues, that's even after 6 cycles. And 6 cycles means like 3 years. You can burn this and get voucher out of it.
Okay, so this is it for the spring onions we have here. So he's going to be taking us on a tour to other greenhouses, so we see what they grow there, and you know, all the challenges they go through in the farm. So just join us as we go to the next greenhouse. Yes, so we are in another section of the BIC Farms. Here we are in the part where they call this the Azula. I really don't know what it is. They look like tadpoles in here. So we are going to let him explain to us what this is. So, sir.
So these are Azolla. Azolla is a freshwater fern. It grows on water naturally.
Okay.
And let me shock you. This doubles its biomass in 24 hours. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Is it magic?
Let me repeat that. It doubles its biomass in 24 hours.
Okay.
That means whatever I'm holding now, if I pour it
back in water,
it gives me ×2.
Wow.
And what do we use this for? For those battling with high cost of feed, especially for livestock. You can introduce this for your livestock.
Okay.
Poultry consumes this. Fish, sheep, cattle. So this can be consumed fresh. It can be consumed dry.
Okay.
So, and it is very rich in protein, nitrogen. That's the benefit of it. So for those looking to increase their crude protein in alternative or conventional feeds, this Azolla is a good alternative.
So the azula, is it mixed with something else or is being fed just like this?
You can feed it just like this. The protein content is enough.
Okay.
But in case probably you are using conventional feed on your livestock or for your livestock and you want to introduce azola, you introduce this gradually.
Okay. So you can mix it in
You
the
can
feed.
mix it with their feed.
Okay.
For example, you are the type of person that consumes rice over time, and someone is trying to tell you there's something called beans. You don't want to consume beans in large quantity.
Yes. So you just
So you introduce it gradually.
okay. So why do we have like tadpoles in the water?
So the tadpoles they come from the water, probably from where the azola were brought from.
Okay.
And because this helps in oxygenating the water. If you touch the water now, you notice the water is very cold.
Okay.
So it's giving them a good environment for them to thrive.
Okay. Wow. This is something I would never have known if I did not come to the BIC Farms. So he is going to still take us to another part of the greenhouses so we get to see more of the plants they grow here. So come with me.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're back here in the greenhouse where we are planting tomatoes. So he is going to take us around and show us how really they plant this, what this is, and all the things you see here. You guys should really learn because it's a very educative session that we have here on the BIC Farm. So come with me. So what exactly are we planting here?
So currently what we have here are tomatoes. And
Okay.
let me reiterate a little bit. When you introduce greenhouse farming or protected farming to people, what they ask you is it sustainable?
Oh.
But can we make profit out of this? But I'm telling us today that in BIC farms or generally in soilless farming, we grow crops that are high value and they have short lifespan. So that over time you get your money or you recoup your investment.
In other words, you don't need to stay a year before you get what you're planting.
You don't need to. For example, these tomatoes can stay for 6 months. That's their life cycle. That means in this kind of environment, you can grow these 2 times in a year.
Okay.
For example, these are tomatoes. These are 4th week now. You can say, why do I know that they are in their 4th week? You start seeing their flowers blooming.
Oh, okay.
If you look at this now, you see it's fruiting already. You start fruiting.
Yeah.
So in 90 days, you start harvesting your fruit. That's 3 months.
Oh.
And you can continue to harvest for the next 3 months.
Okay. So I sense that, I mean, as we got in here, the temperature here is totally different from the other greenhouses. Why is it that way?
So currently, I told you about the type of covering we use here.
Yeah.
Tomatoes, they are summer crop. They need a little bit of heat to perform better.
Okay.
Look at this, is called a UV covering. It's called a UV covering. If we bring a thermometer here, you will say the temperature is between 28 and 31 degrees, which is very fine. You might not be comfortable working here. Because in greenhouses, if you are working here, you work very early in the morning and late in the evening. Yeah. All you do in the afternoon is to irrigate them. Yeah. And you do that using the drip.
Yes, okay.
Or with the aid of the drip irrigation system.
Okay. So is there a way, when you talk about the irrigation here, so there's a timing, like you said, maybe in the afternoon. How do you know that it has gotten enough water? Yes.
So in soilless farming, there's something called precision.
Okay.
Precision means you give what your plant needs at a particular point in time. I've done some experiments over time, and I can tell you for sure that a plant, for example, at the 4th week, they need about 1 liter of water in a day. But you don't give that 1 liter at once. It's like consuming your breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the morning. What happens? You get choked. But we split the schedule over time. So these plants the schedule can be splitted 4 times in a day.
So that they get enough.
And for them to get about 250 ml per time, you only need to irrigate for 10 minutes. That's
Okay.
precision.
Okay.
And once they grow older, you give them more, you increase it.
Okay. Okay. So I can see that there are ropes tied to them.
Yes.
What is the use of this rope? Why do we have to tie the ropes here when they've started? I can see that they have flowers here, and here we didn't tie any of the ropes. Why?
So what we are seeing currently is called staking. Staking means you are holding the plant in place. The variety we grow in greenhouses, I said they are high value and short lifespan, but they grow as tall as 6 feet. So what we are trying to do is, guy, don't lay on the floor. Stand erect. Because even in agronomy, their leaves must be facing the sun for proper photosynthesis.
Yes.
So this is helping to hold them in place. And you stake at 3 weeks after transplanting. These guys are still at their second week.
They are not up to 3 weeks.
They are not up to 3 weeks.
Okay. So lastly, before we leave the tomato house, I can see something there. What is that used for?
So this is called a sticky trap. In soilless farming or protected culture, like I've said earlier, there is something called IPM. IPM means integrated pest management. Integrated pest management means you are bringing a lot of measures together to control pests. Because as much as we can, we are trying to reduce the use of synthetic pesticides.
Okay.
So what are the measures to put in place to make sure pests are reduced drastically in greenhouse? This is one of them. So when you come into your greenhouse this morning, this helps you identify the kind of insects you have in the greenhouse. Okay, these are flies. What do you need to curtail them? This informs you. So this is called a sticky trap, and we have different colors for different kind of pests.
Okay.
There are some insects that get attracted to bright colors, like white flies.
Oh, so they're attracted to coming here and
they stick here.
Stuck here. Okay, that is fine. So this is the tomato house. So he'll be taking us to another greenhouse. Today we would learn a lot about soilless farming. So come with me. Okay, so we are here on the BIC Farms in another greenhouse where we still have tomatoes. But then I think this is a different form of farming, which he is going to take us through. So I can see that there is a setup here. What is going on here? There are fishes here. Things going on here. So can you just take us through it?
So this is a typical aquaponics system. You know, I was explaining soilless farming the other time, like it's an umbrella for different faculties, where we have hydroponics, aquaponics, and all of that. So this is an aquaponics structure or a system. The fusion of aquaculture and hydroponics. That's just the way it works. So you have plants and you have fish.
Livestock, yeah.
Livestock. Yeah. So you use the waste from your fish to feed your plants. So the system just works this way. You have fish in here. The excreta goes down here where we have fish. Then there is a pump
that
brings the water back to the plants, and the plant continues to grow.
What kind of plant do we have here?
So this is a kind of oregano as well. It's another variant of oregano.
This is the one I'm familiar with.
Yes, that's the plain oregano. This is another variant of oregano. And here you will notice we are not using rhizomes.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
This is granite. These are clay pebbles. Why are we using this kind of substrate? You can't afford to get water overload here. So you need a substrate that allows water to pass through over and over.
So this is reusable. Now, once your plants are old enough to be harvested, can you use this again?
You can use it again, over and over. But to remove it and replant.
So we are here in another greenhouse, but this is the bell pepper greenhouse where you can see that they are still growing here. Mr. Femi is going to tell us a little bit that we need to know about growing bell pepper using the soilless farm technique.
Thank you very much. I will say, or I'll give you this for free, that if you are growing bell pepper in this part of the country, it's money ritual. That's what we call it. Because bell pepper gives the value for your investment. Look at the plants here are 532 plants. Bell pepper. You can see them. And these are just 5 days after planting.
5 days. And what is the duration, like the lifespan before you can harvest?
So before you harvest, you leave them for about 60 days. They spend 60 to 70 days. If you want to harvest the green bell, that's the green bell pepper.
Yes.
If you want to harvest the colored, you can stay for 90 days. That's 3 months.
So it changes the color.
It changes color. So we have varieties that changes from green to yellow, and we have varieties that changes from green to red. So after the 90 days, you can continue to harvest weekly for another 3 months. So that's 6 month cycle. And on a single plant, you get nothing less than 2 kg per plant. Now let's do the math. 2 kg multiplied by 532. That's about 1000 kg. And currently, bell pepper is not selling less than 2000 naira per kg.
Yes.
So you can see how much you are making in 6 months.
Okay, in soilless farming, you can plant at any time and it yields fruit.
So in soilless farming, there are 2 things that are involved. Number 1, the location of your business matters, because you are growing for the market. So if you go back to economics, you remember for whom to produce. The first thing, what's the market? What is selling in my area? You consider that first. Okay, for example, let's pick up that bell pepper is selling. For tomatoes, we have period and seasons for tomatoes. May is the peak period for tomato. If you start harvesting by May, you harvest through June, July, August. Tomato makes sense and the price is okay for that period and not any other time. But for bell pepper, you can grow in and out of season and you still get value for your investment.
So he has really taken us around most of the farm here, and we're still going to check out 1 or 2 greenhouses before we come back. So let's move to the next greenhouse. Yes, so here we are going to see that we don't have crops here or anything that has been planted yet. So this is more like a startup. This is to show you that yes, if I intend to go into the soilless farm business, this is what you need to do so you can thrive. So he's going to tell us a bit more about what you need to do when you're about to start the soilless farm business.
Okay, thank you. We are going to the business part of soilless farming. In BIC Farms, we help people to start their production business or to start their farm. You can see the greenhouse structure. Everything inside here is what you get when you buy big greenhouses from BIC. We don't just give you a structure and tell you go and sort yourself. We fix the interior. This is called a floor cover to prevent weed. This is a draw. This is our grow mix. This is the soft drip. Drip irrigation. Everything comes with your greenhouse. You can see people working in the greenhouse. We have different kind of training. BIC 3 months, 6 months, because we notice there is a particular knowledge gap. That's the skill gap. People need to understand how to do this or how to work in this.
So, in other words, if one wants to start, be it a small scale farmer, be it a medium or large scale farmer, these are the things they require. And yes, a lot of people may not know where to get all of this from. Yes, it may sound like this is just, but they need someone with that experience that has gone into this business and has succeeded in the business to set up. So people can reach out to BIC Farms for them to set up for them, right?
So for free, I will tell you BIC got you covered.
So we are right back where we started with BIC Farms and Mr. Femi. So please, can you tell us, because I know that in every business there are challenges one go through. So can you tell us in this business, as a soilless farmer, what are those challenges you have been through? Is it with the people who you are doing the business with, or in your processes of growing these crops? What are those challenges you've gone through, and how have you been able to propel them?
Okay, so I love the angle that we were speaking. That's which is the challenges. Some will say problems, but I bet to differ. They'll say it's not a problem. What we have are challenges, and number one is skill set, which is the knowledge gap. We notice over time, okay, we want to build greenhouses, BIC come and install greenhouses for us, but it gets to the point that we manage to do. That has been happening, let's say, for 2 or 3 years now. Okay, what do we do to curtail this? So BIC came up with a program called the Graduate Agripreneurship Apprentice Program, where you get to come and learn the basics of soilless farming, how to run a greenhouse. Then after that training, two things will happen. It's either you want to set up your own farm, or we post you to someone that needs a greenhouse. That's the way we solve that. Security issues, most times greenhouses, you can install them anywhere. In fact, I always say they do well in urban centers, because they're one of the parameters or one of the factors that allows plants to grow is carbon dioxide. And you have a lot of that in the city. So in the city, your greenhouse is safe. It's not in the bush where you have issues with insecurity and all of that.
You see, there's some areas or locations where people tend to, do this business, and we have people that maybe break into the facility to curtail those things, because theft will always happen.
Definitely.
Whether it's with your equipment or people that they are monitoring and then they uproot your crops and leave. So what are those measures you have been able to put in place?
Definitely, if we have situations like that, number one, we can get a security personnel to man the farm 24/7. Now, another thing is the use of technology, CCTV. We have cameras around the farm. Even you, the owner, if you're at Lagos, you can monitor your farm in Abia State, which has been working effectively. Yes.
Okay. So, lastly, I would like you to just say a little thing to somebody, a farmer, especially those that want to start on the small scale. The advice you would give to them: is this a business they can venture into? Is this a business that can bring profit? Because irrespective of the business, we want to make money while doing this business. So, what is the advice you would give to people out there that want to venture into this business?
So in BIC generally, because I'm speaking on behalf of BIC now, what we tell people is, if you are to venture into any business, you must have the knowledge of it. It's one of the reasons BIC come up with the monthly masterclass training. That for you to own a greenhouse, come for training first. Know what you are into. Know what you want to do. Even if somebody is doing something for you or handling the greenhouse for you, you should be able to understand what the person is doing. So the first thing is knowledge, which is very important for everybody. It's knowledge. And I always tell people, you can think big, but start small. You can now scale fast. You can now grow bigger. So you think big, you start small, because scaling fast.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir, for creating time to take us through the farm. It was a very insightful, session with you. Thank you so much.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we had an amazing time here at the BIC farm, where we were taking through all the greenhouses and we were educated on how to use the soilless farming to grow your crops. Don't forget that this show is to sensitize the public on the need to invest in agricultural practices. It may be on a small scale, it may be on a larger scale, but we need to invest more in agriculture. Now, this show is brought to you by RSF Media, and we're looking forward to you joining us again on the show this time next week. I am your host, Rowena Ian. Thank you for joining us.